Yo, still bills, what's the deal, man? I'm already on my way back to the city. Only 10:30, man. I'll be back home by 11:25 or something, man. So peep game though, man. We gotta keep up with this Bud Crawford thing, right? We gotta keep this going. He said about a month or some change ago that Keith Thurman is possibly the biggest fight to make. I think he said the biggest fight to make. I don't think it's the biggest fight to make at the moment, but I do think it's possibly a bigger fight. It possibly is a bigger fight than Sean Porter. But with that being said and done, what the fuck make this nigga think that he's entitled to a Bud fight? Like, bro, y'all don't get it, man. Like, I'm a legitimate fan of Keith Thurman, man. When I first saw him, I'm like, yo, this dude is not getting the credit he deserves. They're trying to push, they was trying to, you know, muscle him out of his spot when it came to Spence. And he was protecting his spot. I mean, I understood what he was doing, bro, because it's like, all right, man, I put in a lot of work to get here where I'm at. He was calling for fights for years. He was calling Ghost out for years. He finally got Ghost. And I was like, all right, bet. Now we, you know, I've arrived. After that, after he gets Ghost, he gets Sean Porter. After he gets Sean Porter, he gets Danny Garcia. And in between all of that, Spence is a nigga who's still on the come up. And you know, with him coming out of the the Olympics and everything, they were trying to push him into superstardom. And in the progress of that, it was stepping on the toes of an already established welterweight, Keith Thurman. So I understood why he was protective of his spot. I get that. I honestly do. It was some sucking shit how he was going about doing it, but I understand it. It'd be a different story if we was in the glory days where if you lost, you took it on the chin and you came back stronger and harder. You got to think about like when Manny Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao loses, he already had a solidified fan base, so it didn't too much affect his stock. Canelo Alvarez, another one, Miguel Cotto, and like these are dudes who were on the prowl before this whole protect your old type energy was around and about. Even though Floyd was still active, I don't think people wasn't stressing to protect your old thing so bad because they felt there was people out there who could still beat Floyd. So it was a lot easier to do, like, all right, cool, yeah, you lost, whatever. Now, in this day and age, now that Floyd is retired, and he retired undefeated, 50-0, now it's like, you're less than if you're not living up to Floyd's standard and being undefeated. So you got to think how far, like, how much faith you lose in the people if you lose. You're used to damage goods if you lose, no matter if it's a controversial decision or what. You lost. You lost. Like, we gotta think about it, man. And they was talking about Anthony Joshua should retire after he lost to Andy Ruiz. The same Andy Ruiz that he came back and crashed. They were saying that he should retire. This is the lane that we in. This is the energy that has been set for years now, man. And now people are at a point where they just want to protect their oath by any means necessary. And if they lose their oath, they want to make sure that the risk matches the reward, or the reward matches the risk. So now we're in a space where we're milking fights to the point where we only get one big fight instead of a possible trilogy, a timeless trilogy. So I understood why Thurman was being protective of his spot. I most definitely understood it. Everybody's talking this kid up. He's the body snatcher, he's this, he's that. They're not putting him in with styles that can contradict his skill set. And that, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to feed him to the fucking wolves fresh out. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to let him build his profile and gradually move him up. They did that. And when he got to a point, it was like, all right, cool, now I want my title spot. When he started becoming mandatory, he started calling out Thurman. Thurman's like, no, like, dude, no. I got other pieces on the, that I'm, on the chessboard that I'm trying to remove. That prioritize, they take priority over you. You dig? Like, we can't be mad at that. Off a 2-year layoff, he came back. He had his tune-up with Jose Cito Lopez, and he got the Pacquiao fight. He got that fight. It was the same way Spence's movements was justified because of the opposition that was placed in front of him to enhance and his resume. You can say the same thing about Thurman. The difference is he lost to Pacquiao. So with him losing to Pacquiao, he lost his titles. Spence beat Kell Brook and captured the title. It is. I'm not necessarily mad at the. I do think it was how he was just kind of like cower to that nigga. That was alarming, because that showed a sense of what's the word I'm looking for? He just wasn't sure that he could beat him. You dig? It was a level of discomfort when he would get around Spence. It was uncertainty. He was uncertain that he'd be able to deal with Spence. The hype around him. So whenever Spence would come around, he would just kind of like domineer over him. Not even on no extra out shit, but just his presence alone was causing a reaction out of Thurman. So I understood it. But now here we are, 2 years removed from the Manny Pacquiao fight. What the fuck have you done ever since? It's Thanksgiving tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving tomorrow. They was able to secure Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin fight for Thanksgiving Day just last week. They want to put it on pay-per-view. Or not, did I say Thanksgiving? New Year's. I think I said New Year's. They scheduled the Charles Martin versus Luis Ortiz for New Year's Day. You don't, like, that's, if anybody should be on that type of pay-per-view, it should be you. It should be you. It should be you, bro. Like, what the fuck? The pay-per-view that you headline with Manny Pacquiao far exceeds what Ortiz and Wilder did, possibly combined. I don't think the number, I said combined. They only fought on pay-per-view once, but I'm sure that pay-per-view, clearly exceeded what Wilder and Ortiz did. And now this man Ortiz is back on pay-per-view, fresh off of fighting, and they still withhold this nigga's fucking check that he beat because they thought he threw the fight. If anybody should be on that pay-per-view, it should be you. But you've been sitting on your hands for I don't know how long, because all you want to do is do these goddamn interviews, and now you want to call out niggas who you feel you entitled to fight now because you was once upon a time a champion. Once upon a time you was the HNIC in the division. Once upon a time Earl Spence and Bud was on fucking ESPN calling you out. Once upon a time. 2 and 3 and 4 years ago, nigga. It's 2021. What makes you think that you entitled with a fight with Bud? What makes you think you're entitled to a title bout? You have been out for 2 fucking years. You've had 2 fights in 4 years, my nigga. 2 fights. And you think you can just come back and just, man, like, cut everybody else in line because of what you once was? You're talking about 8 months. Nobody believes that. Why? Because ain't no man in their right mind gonna be 2 years removed from the ring and fight Bud in 8 months. Unless you plan on fighting 2 and 3 times in them 8 months. There's no way. And to deal with, you already at a championship level of skill. You've been in there with the best of them. You've been in there with a legend of Manny Pacquiao. So a couple of tune-up fights will get you right for Bud. But what are you doing? Like, why is it that every time somebody has a, you know, a good showing, a good performance in your division, here you come popping your head back up like a fucking groundhog? Like, nah, bro, no. Who the fuck do you think you are, bro? And I'm a fan of yours. I personally thought before the emergence of Ennis and Ortiz, you was the only welterweight that could match Bud skill for skill. I thought that. I never thought Bud or Spence was Bud's equal. I never thought that. But I thought at a point in time it would be a 50-50 fight. I said that in my last video. I thought at a point in time it would be a 50-50 fight between Bud and Spence. Until I saw how he did against somebody who has intelligent feet. After that, I was like, that ain't no 50-50 fight. It's not. And like I said, I've always been in the mindset that you could beat Spence as well. Everybody talks about your body, you know, how you can't take it to the body. Hey, you know, we can't ignore that. But you got to be in position to land that body shot. You have to position yourself to be in, you know, to land that body shot. I've always thought you had the skill to beat Spence, and I thought you would beat Spence. And I thought you and Bud was the hardest fight for Bud. Because skill for skill, you could match it to a certain degree. I think Bud is a little bit more sharper on his punches. You open up just a tad too wide in the exchanges. You open up a tad too wide. Not Demetrius Andre wide, but you do open. It is your timing. It is, you know, it's weird how, you know, you offset motherfuckers with your timing before you launch the shot. And the shot be wide. The shot do be wide, but it's your timing. You position yourself to throw the punch. You'll posture like you're launching a punch, but it'd be that slight sudden pause that can make a motherfucker think, you know, they'll brace for the shot and then they'll relax themselves. All right, he ain't throwing the shot. Next thing you know, you're throwing a shot. You do that. You do that a lot. And when you do that, that's how you know you're throwing heavy leather. You open it up just a tad bit too much. But I think Bud is a little bit more precise on those shots. I think he's a lot sharper on the punches that he throws. He's the better switch hitter. Has the better feet, even though I think you have incredible feet. I think Bud has the better feet, especially with his switch hitting ability is indicative to his feet because he can fight you from lefty righty, you know, while off the back foot. I think he has the better feet. I think Bud is slightly better than Thurman. But I do think Thurman, if we were talking about a Thurman at his best, he's in that fight. He's in that fight. But you have lost to Manny Pacquiao. You have one loss on your record. And you have just, I don't know what the fuck you doing now. And it's like, yo, I'm trying to cash out. You was gunning for a fucking fight with Gervonta Davis, dog. Like, what are you doing? Why are you even entertaining some dumb shit like that? You should have been a nigga that was trying to get at Conor Ben. Because you still got what it takes to beat Conor Ben. And that would have been a damn good comeback fight for you because he's on the come up. He's still unpolished. He has more work to do before he's ready for a championship fight. He has more work to do before he's ready for a legitimate title contender. So that would have been a great fight for you to come back and beat him. That would have been a great fight. But you just, you come back off of inactivity. You try to weasel in on what Ugas got going on. And try slide into his spot. And it's like, nigga, you slide in Gervonta Davis' spot, nigga. Slide in the Earl Spence spot, nigga. The fuck is you doing? Now Bud win. Now you trying to slide into his spot. Yeah, I can fight him in 8 months. Come on, man. You got a lot of nerve, man. It's a lot. You got to get I don't want to say you got to get to the back of the mind, man, but No, my nigga, you are not, at this point, you are not deserving of no fucking title shot with no Bud Crawford. You're not. Earl Spence been down for a minute. I don't think you entitled to a spot with Spence. I don't. Both of y'all niggas is injury prone. You still ain't deserving of a fight with Spence. You aren't. All the fights that could be made, all these contenders that's out there, these up and comers, and you just sitting on your hands. You are just sitting on your hands, doing nothing, waiting on a big fight because you feel you are entitled to these big fights because who you was years ago. You are not him no more, fam. Honestly, keep shit a stack with you when you was super active. You wasn't him. The general consensus surrounding the welterweight division has always been Terrence Crawford versus Earl Spence. They didn't think that much of you when Earl Spence was coming up. They didn't think that much of you. They didn't. They didn't. Before Bud was even in the division, it was Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford. As if you're not even a champion, a sitting world champion. #1 ranked in the division.